Am I the bad guy for accepting a big inheritance from my grandma and telling my dad him and his family are monsters like she said? My grandma died in 2024. I had lived with her since I was 17 and had taken over a lot of bills and stuff in the last year before grandma died, and it was sudden. I was also no contact with my dad and stepfamily. Grandma was no contact with them too. For background on why and how we got here. My mom left when I was only a few months old. She changed her mind about having me and left me with my grandparents, meaning my dad's parents. My dad was in the military at the time, and he retired after that deployment and took me home with him. Then my grandpa died a year later, so I don't remember him. My grandma continued helping out my dad. When I was 5, my dad told me he'd met someone, and she had kids a little bit older than me, and they wanted us to be a family. He got me really excited to have a mom and siblings. I don't even remember all the lead-up stuff, but the first time I was meeting them, I remember my dad saying our family was growing that day. And the first time we met went okay, but it was downhill after that. The second time we met, my step-siblings, who weren't step-siblings at the time, ignored me, and when me or dad were mentioned, they had tantrums. We moved in together after that. So we'd met twice and suddenly all lived together. Then the wedding took place a month later. It was very low-key with hardly anyone there. But I remember my 2 oldest step-siblings pushed me to the floor because the 5 of us were supposed to be getting ready in the same room and waiting for the parents. But my step-siblings didn't want me with them. What happened at the wedding wasn't an isolated incident, and they bullied and abused me a lot. My dad and stepmom did nothing to stop it. They tell me it was hard for my step-siblings, and they had lost their dad, and sometimes it made them a little angry, but they would never hurt me intentionally. Except they did, both physically and emotionally. My dad and stepmom started getting annoyed with me because I go crying to them about it. My grandma stepped in multiple times and tried to talk sense into my parents, and especially to dad. He told her he had met the love of his life and wouldn't end the marriage for anyone. She pointed out that I needed him and had no one else. He said that was bullshit and I had a mom now. Grandma said I would never an equal to or before the older kids who were my stepmom's bio kids. Dad said that's just how it works. Grandma said not with him apparently, which dad resented. Grandma tried to take me more to make up for it, but my dad and stepmom protested and refused to allow it because it meant excluding my step-siblings. Meanwhile, my step-siblings would tell me if I couldn't live with grandma, it was sad my mom didn't get rid of me before she left dad. My grandma actually called CPS on my stepfamily, and that didn't actually result in being no contact, which still surprises me. Nothing was done by CPS despite them saying my dad and stepmom needed parenting classes and warning if I kept getting hurt I'd be removed. They made the threat but did not follow through. Then came a day where we were all at grandma's house. I was 11 at the time, and my step-siblings would have been 13, 14, 16, and 17, and one of them shoved me really hard because I wanted to sit in the only free chair, and it was next to them. Grandma went off on them, which set my stepmom off. Then dad defended his wife and step-its. And it all came to a stop because grandma called my step-siblings little monsters who shouldn't be allowed around other kids because they liked beating them up. Grandma refused to apologize, and as my dad and stepmom were forcing us all to leave, which means forcing me to leave, Grandma said they were all monsters, and she told Dad he was not coming back from that moment. My dad and stepmom stopped me from seeing Grandma for years. I only got back in touch with her a week before I moved out. They called the police and tried to drag me back and accused my grandma of abusing my step-siblings, but I got to stay, and no charges came from any of the accusations. Back to today. When Grandma died, she had a strong will in place. She left my dad $100. That was the minimum she could leave him, so he couldn't sue for the rest, which she gave to me. I got Grandma's house, which was my dad's childhood family home. I got the rest of her money, her and Grandpa's sentimental possessions, and she had some investments too. My dad tried to go after it, saying as her only child he should get everything, but her will stopped it. She left nothing to his wife or her kids. So then they started contacting me, at first through lawyers and then on socials, saying I should be dividing it evenly and giving Dad what he deserves. Then shaming me for accepting it when she excluded my siblings. My dad even tried coming to the house to talk, and when he started to shame me for accepting it when she disrespected our family, I told him she was right and they were all monsters and that they didn't deserve anything. I only made him more mad. And saying that is what I'm mostly questioning because I feel like I made my life harder. So am I the bad guy? Second story, where ex wants to get back after she left Reddit about a year and a half ago. I had been with my ex for 7 years, married for 5. It felt like love at first sight and everything felt so natural when we met. After about 2 years of dating, we decided to tie the knot. Not soon after, we welcomed our baby boy. He was a pandemic baby, so my wife ended up quitting her job, while I continued working as a line cook and started doing Uber Eats on the side. After things went a bit back to normal, my wife told me she doesn't want to be one of those women who lose their passion after settling down. So she went back to finish law school and take her bar. Of course, I wholeheartedly supported her, and we tried to make it work. After she passed, she immediately got hired at a firm downtown, through the help of her friend, Dumbo. This is where the problem started. From the get-go, my wife began making good money. Good enough that she told me to quit my job and take care of our son full-time, as she won't have the time. I said no. I loved my job. Cooking was my passion, and I even worked my way up to full-fledged chef. My biggest regret in our marriage had to have been her talking me into leaving. But I did and became a SAHD. Slowly, our marriage life began deteriorating as she started to pull away. She'd work long hours and barely spend any time with us. She'd go out drinking to network with her work colleagues on weekends, sometimes even going out of town. At home, she'd always just be pissy with me. It's like her personality did a complete 180. This wasn't the sweet, nurturing girl I fell in love with all those years ago. Our intimacy became almost non-existent. After going through therapy, I can now see that I am to blame as well. I should have communicated better and shared how I felt. Luckily, the highlight through this was my son. Seeing him grow and being there for a lot of his firsts made everything feel like it'll be okay. One day, she finally came up to me and asked for a divorce. I wasn't surprised. I felt everything was eventually going to lead up to this. But I still didn't want to give up. I asked if she's sure about this or if she wants to make it work. I recommended couples counseling or temporary separation. She declined both those offers and told me she found someone else. Hearing this shattered me. Her changing and us growing apart I can understand. But never once would I have thought that she would be the type to even entertain other men. She told me it's some partner at her firm. Haha, when did my life become a Korean rom-com? She told me that he invited her out a couple times and showed her the life of luxury she deserves. We argued for a bit, and she told me that he is twice the man as me. She called me feminine for being a stay-at-home dad while his wife was working hard and being home the money. What? It was your idea. And what about me working 2 jobs during the pandemic? To her, those weren't real jobs. I was a delivery driver and a cook. Well, she told me this new guy is an alpha male who knows a woman's needs and how to take care of her. She bragged about how tall and muscular he is, how he has a real job, and took her on weekend getaways that she told me were work-related. And here's the kicker. He's such a man, he doesn't want to make things official until me and her are separated. I almost laughed at how delusional my ex had become. I asked her what about our son, and she said I can have him. He likes me better anyways. I think this hurt the most. I couldn't believe she said that about her own son, throwing him away like he's some object. For the first time, I couldn't recognize the person in front of me. I won't lie. I did let the anger get the best of me and said some hurtful things back. I could tell she was taken back by this. Probably because I almost never get that angry. She turned around and left. After she left, I cried my eyes out for 2 weeks hoping she'd call and come back. I don't know. I didn't love her anymore, but life without her felt so scary. The only thing that kept me going was my son. I knew I couldn't turn to the bottle or go down this dark path because of him. I managed to beg for my job back, and they rehired me for some weeknights only, which was better than nothing. I spent the next months just putting my head down and working in silence. The divorce proceedings were moving quickly, and before I knew it was official. The worst part about this was I felt like I had no support system. On social media, everyone was praising her for being this strong, independent woman who broke free of some metaphoric shackles. Like I was some villain holding her back. And not a single person messaged me on how I'm doing. And thank God they didn't, cause this is what made me want to try therapy, and I haven't looked back since. For all those that are unsure about therapy, I'm telling you it works. Now fast forward to this week. I received a phone call from an unknown number, and when I picked up it was my ex on the other line bawling. She told me how her alpha male boyfriend found someone else and she's too afraid to confront him cause he's a partner at her firm. She finally explained her perspective and how everything led up to this point. Basically, my ex has admittedly always been really pretty and a social butterfly. After she had our son and the pandemic hit, she felt ugly and insecure, even if I told her she was pretty. So I guess when she got her job, she got the validation she wanted. Of course, feeding into these delusions was Dumbo, who recently had divorced her husband and poisoned my ex's thoughts with how I'm a failure as a man. how my ex is way prettier than me and she deserves someone of her standards. Apparently, I'm a beta male who rolls over and is stopping her from being free. She said a lot more specific stuff too that I think I'll keep to myself here. But it was definitely an eye-opening conversation. I shouldn't have pushed my ex away to be vulnerable enough to listen to Dumbo. But still, after hearing all this, I was really just disappointed more than anything. That she would be stupid and not to throw everything away on some whim and peer pressure. My ex asked me if we can try again. She told me how much she misses me and how she took me and all I did for her for granted. For example, I always made her lunch in the morning, made sure she's up to date with her pills, and so on. She misses those little things. I admit to telling her that I missed her too. And I know our son does for sure. But she did make every decision herself. And what if things worked out with the other guy? I'm not some consolation prize she can come running back to. She cried and told me that she wanted me back a week after she left, but was too prideful to call. I firmly told her no and hung up. Since then, my phone's been blowing up from friends and family that I'm heartless. That my wife was vulnerable and taken advantage of, and instead of picking up the pieces and helping her, I'm leaving her to fend for herself. That message hurt the most. I respect her father a lot, so I heard him out. He wants me to come over for a resolution/intervention this weekend and bring my son. They just want a conversation to hear both sides and see if it really is resolvable. I'm attending, but I'm going to stay firm with my answer. But all the recent messages have been making me rethink my stance. I just want to make sure I'm not in the wrong before I attend. So Ada? What you think about this story? Write in the comment your opinion. On my channel, you can watch other revenge or cheating stories. See you soon, my dear viewer.